My dudes, what is up? Welcome to another episode of the Book Club. We've read another awesome story, and this book is very special to me because it was written by one of my former college professors, Dr. Philip Kim. He's an awesome dude, and he has a ton of awesome experiences that he's been doing throughout his life and is now starting to share them through books. And I'm very excited to dive into this one to share some of the things that I've pulled out that I thought were impactful. This book is called Chase One Rabbit, 10 Habits to Move You from Failure to Success. There are a lot of awesome tips and nuggets in this book, so let's dive right in. So this book is kind of like a self-help book for entrepreneurs or people that want to start achieving the goals that they are setting out for themselves, or for people that just want to kind of get on track and start setting goals. So the first thing that I kind of pulled out and the note that I wrote is that life is hard, but it's not over until you die or quit. Yo, that's so intense, but it's so real. Of course, life is hard for everybody from a different range of reasons and spectrums, but it's not over until you either die or you quit. So it really is up to you to make the decision to say, yo, I know it's difficult, but I can keep fighting through, setting goals, achieving them, and working to make a better life for myself. Ultimately, this is all your choice. You may not have power over the situation because you could be put in some pretty crappy situations, but you do get to say when it's over. So you have that power. Maybe not over to the situation that you're in or to how other people are acting, but you do get to say when it's over. So you do have power over the situation. So whenever you do feel powerless or helpless, remember that you get to decide when to walk away or if you want to keep fighting for it. So a nice little way to motivate yourself to think about how you can achieve your goals and keep powering forward. Success is difficult, especially when it requires you to start fresh after a failure. Failures are going to happen, but you do need to learn from them. And it is certainly hard. It's certainly hard to say, wow, I've just had a failure, but you know what? I do need to start back over. I've learned from this failure and now go right back at it and try to reach the goal that I'm aiming for. Make it easier on yourself by focusing on one single aspect. So when you do have a failure, and I do this too, which I've learned from this book, you have a failure, take one specific thing from that failure that you can learn and that you can start implementing on to improve yourself going forward when you're trying to reach your goals. It makes it much easier instead of trying to think about all of the things that went wrong, whether it's the situation, the decisions you've made, choices other people have made, the timing, the luck. Just focus on one characteristic that you can try to improve on going forward. Now we're starting to dive into more of the meat of the book, and these are some of the notes that I took from chapter 1. Success takes time, and it's built on little wins. Obviously, you can look at all the successful people around you, and it's so easy to get caught up in the thought that, wow, they're so successful. Why are they so successful and I'm not? They make it look so easy. They may make it look easy, but know that it is not easy. It's built on little win after little win and continuing to work hard to achieve that success. Don't lose sight of your big goal, but focus on the little chunks and the checkpoints that you can get knocked out every day. We all want success, and we would love it if it would come easy, of course, because then we could just say we're a success, but it never happens that way. Success is difficult to obtain, and it's built, again, on those small, little foundational wins that you get along the way. So, sure, think about your main goal that you want to achieve, but then narrow it down and get specific and try to focus every day on doing something that will help you get to and accomplish that goal so that you can say, I'm a success. I've got that goal accomplished, and then you can move on to the next one. I've written down that failure is going to happen your entire life. Being an entrepreneur, that is so true. And I think I should actually do more in these videos of expressing how I have failed and learn from those failures. So maybe some of you can avoid some of the failures that I've had, but I'll make sure to start doing that in future videos. Learn from each failure to keep improving. Failure, it's just learning from experience. It's a great way to think about it because failure, ultimately, it's an experience that will help you learn, get more educated, have more knowledge on how you can go forward in a better way, because you've learned that, hey, maybe this route doesn't work or this decision doesn't work. So then you've learned that. Now you know, okay, I don't need to make that decision anymore, or I can avoid that choice or that path because I know it's been a failure. Just like Edison, creating the light bulb and getting all of that figured out, especially when working with lightning. That's a little freaky, so you can fail, but maybe not fail too hard. With that being said, he failed a ton. There were a ton of different experiments that he tried that didn't end up working out. He had to try over 1,000 different experiments to finally figure out how to utilize the power of electricity in a light bulb and use it so that the light bulb doesn't explode. It can contain that energy and use it as light. He learned from all of his failures, and you can too. Celebrate failure and make sure your team knows it's okay to fail, because that's how they get better. Failure is just like a college course, except it's more real life and maybe more emotional at times. But if you're working on a project and you fail, don't feel bad about yourself. Sure, maybe it'll get you down for a day or two because it's great to win. But if you do have a failure, step back and don't be worried, because it's a great learning experience. It's essentially a crash course on what you need to do to keep moving forward, because you're gaining all of that knowledge, you're gaining all of that experience by failing. So you don't need to punish yourself or punish your team or punish others for failure. You need to celebrate it. You need to step back and say, yo, you've tried some stuff, you've learned from it, that's great. So make sure going forward, you take that knowledge and you implement it so you really can go out and be a success and reach your goals. Dr. Kim is sharing a lot of great knowledge in this book, so you should absolutely read it yourself. But I'm just trying to take some of the nuggets out of each chapter so that I can share with you, and some that are the most pertinent to the life of being an entrepreneur or being in business and trying to be a success. Now from chapter 3, take the time to diagnose the actual issue and not just taking the easy way out by just addressing the symptoms. This is so important, and there are so many people in the world of business and in the world of government that need to listen to this advice. You have to take the time to diagnose the root cause of the issue. Because if you don't, you're just going to be treating the symptoms, and that root cause, that underlying issue, will continue to be there forever until you make the decision to take the time to dive into it and understand the root cause, the real issue, and not just putting a Band-Aid solution on that will maybe offer temporary relief, but nothing in the long term. People in business and people in government need to learn this. You can't just try to solve these symptom issues. You're never going to fix the situation unless you figure out that root issue. It's the same with life as well. So take that advice with you. And if there are any people in leadership positions, in businesses or in government, think about that. When attempting to identify the root issue, ask the 3 W questions. 1. What happened? 2. Who are the people involved? 3. Why did this happen? It's a great way to figure out and think about a situation that's going on and then get to that root cause, that root issue. Find a positive feedback loop that works for you and try to activate that every day. So of course, we're doing a variety of different things in our life that we're trying to build up so that we can be successful and reach our goals. So that feedback loop is important to know, hey, maybe this didn't work. How can I learn from that? And how can I implement that? So have that as those tasks that you're doing, trying to be successful. And then ultimately, those tasks, once you do implement that, get that feedback, learn about what did work, what didn't work, and then use that as motivation to continue on and implement those things that you did learn in those tasks again. And that should be a constant circle and a cycle that you're using to learn, to implement, and to achieve. Crowdsource your problems. Dr. Kim shares an awesome example about cow weight. Yes, like the cow, the animal. So there was a question that was asked, is an example, an experiment to one individual, and asked, what do you think the weight of a cow is? That individual said some number like 500 pounds. But then that same question, the weight of a cow, was asked to a large group of people. There's a big survey that was done. And ultimately, after everyone was asked, the number was kind of taken down and averaged out from all of those responses. And the average response ended up being around 1,450 pounds. Now, can you guess what a cow typically weighs on average? Around 1,500. So the crowdsourced group answer almost got it exactly right compared to that one individual that thought it was much lighter than it really is. So crowdsourcing is a great way to get feedback on some of the projects that you're working on, maybe that your team is working on, or maybe a problem that you're experiencing in life. Feel free to get feedback, and you're going to get more honest and more real feedback from the more people that you ask. From a leadership perspective, don't treat failure as an opportunity for punishment. That will prevent people from being creative. Creativity comes from learning and being in an open environment where people can express themselves. If failure is treated as a punishment, then that's going to stifle that creativity and that learning. You absolutely do not want to do that. And you don't want to make fun of people that fail either. You want to make sure that they're able to learn from those experiences and are able to fail so that they can continue to gain that experience and then become better and improve their situation and achieve those goals. This also is from the leadership perspective, and particularly talking about business/teams. Let people take 15% of their day to work on any project that improves the company. Now, I have kind of a negative example of this one. So I worked for a marketing agency kind of right out of college, so I could get some of that experience and see what working at a structured agency was like. And they had an atrocious email signature. It was a book. They included so many words and graphics and things in it. It wasn't consistent across the company. It was not good. And I actually took some extra time of my own free time to develop an email signature for our whole team that looked fresh. It was simple, but got the point across and shared our brand. However, the main directors of the company said, "Oh, thank you. This is cool. We're not going to use it." Oh my gosh, I just gave you this extra time. I worked on this cool email signature. We needed to have it because the current one was atrocious. And that really stifled my creativity and ultimately ended up hurting the branding of the company, the agency of where I was working. So if you really do want to get people more engaged in your company or in your team, give them that 15% of time to work on something that will help improve the company, because that will, 1, make people feel more empowered, 2, get them working on things that they're interested in, and 3, as a leader, show you what those individuals are interested in and some of the skills that maybe you didn't know they had, so that you can help encourage them to grow and maybe utilize those skills in their job so they can continue to build on those skills, but then also build the company as well. It just makes sense. And to that company that didn't use my email signature and probably still have an atrocious email signature, boo. Boo to you. Some of my notes say, take ownership of your time. Be greedy. Every person gets the same 24 hours a day. Bill Gates has the same 24-hour days that you do. So make the most of them. Be greedy with your time. If you're getting overwhelmed with meetings and calls, take a step back. Structure your schedule a little more. Maybe block some time off for those tasks that you really need to get done. If you are getting stressed and overwhelmed, block off an hour for some meditation and reflection. Be greedy with your time because that time is yours. You should be the one that gets to say what you do and how you do it within your 24-hour block. Start by doing your biggest, most daunting task first. That's because you'll feel good and then have momentum to get more done. Now, I fall victim to this myself because it's so easy to wake up, get into the office, and start knocking off some of those lower hanging fruit tasks like checking email or responding to comments on social. But it's so much better if you knock out one of those bigger projects that you have throughout the day early on, because it will give you that good feeling of saying, yes, I got something big done. I don't have that hanging over my head anymore. And then you'll have that momentum. You'll use that positive energy to keep being productive and get more stuff done. That's absolutely true. I've tested it myself and I love doing that. So I highly recommend that little nugget of trying to get some of the bigger tasks done first. For me, Defining your passion is really important, and I'm going to be making almost a video series on this topic, but this touches on it a little bit, which I like. So to distill your passion, make a career/project arc, and you are never too young or old to do this. So step 1 is list your major careers/jobs/projects. Make a list of all of those. Then list your main duties and responsibilities that you had while a part of those careers, jobs, or projects. And then 3, list the main themes and characteristics that were involved with those duties, responsibilities while you held those positions. Compile a list of all the elements that show up multiple times on those 3 different lists. So you'll be able to pull out and distill all that information on those 3 lists into one where you'll be able to see, okay, here are the main themes and the things that I was interested in that I really enjoyed throughout some of the things that I've been doing already in my career or in the projects I've been working on. It's a great way to start understanding where your passions lie, and just a sneak peek into some of the videos I'm going to be making on passion. Your passion is not a career. It's not a job. It is an action. The passion that you should identify for yourself as an action. For me, as an example, being a marketer is not my passion. Being an entrepreneur is not my passion. Running a marketing agency is not my passion. My passion is creating content. The action of creating interesting content. That's my passion. I love making videos here on YouTube. I love helping my clients that are a part of the marketing agency that I do create content for them. That is how I figured out my passion. And again, I'll make a whole video series on passion because I love it and I love helping define it, but this is a great place to start. From chapter 8, write things down and review your notes. You'll forget things if you don't. 100%. That's just the fact of life. Our brains ultimately do soak in so much knowledge, but we need to write the important things down so that we can review them and reflect on them so we really do get that information stored in our brains. I actually use an app called Readwise if you are interested in doing this, where I get a digest of some of the notes and some of the highlights of books that I have read or written every single morning, and then I go through 5 or 6 of those just to refresh them in my brain to make sure I'm still retaining some of those topics that I'm interested in securing in my brain. Continuing, write down your most important goals. Now, to get seriously productive, 1, write down your goals specifically. 2, rank them. 3, set a time frame. And 4, have an accountability partner. That is the exact equation on how you can be productive and achieve your goals. It's exactly what I follow as well. And actually, if you are interested, I have a podcast called Accountability where my co-host Drake and I, we hang out, drink a beer, and talk about some of the things that we want to be held accountable for and some of the things that our audience are working on as well, so that we can help hold all of our audience and ourselves accountable to our goals. So I'm really living it out. If you want to join us, please do. Every project you work on needs to have a deadline. I know I mentioned that just a little bit ago, but having that deadline is so important because if you just have a list of tasks, and I fall victim to this sometimes, where I won't set a deadline, so those tasks will kind of just float around. They'll just be on my task list for a while, and I won't really sit down to try to accomplish them. Having that deadline will allow you to attack them more vigorously because you have a deadline, and inside your brain is like, crap, there's a deadline, so I do need to get this done. I actually need to work on it. So that will help you get more of your tasks done and ultimately help you reach your goals a little quicker. Perform failure autopsies on all of your major failures. Take notes so that you can learn from them and be better. That's a great phrase. Failure autopsies. When you do have a failure, sit down, take some notes, think about what went well, what didn't go well, while you ultimately think that this failure occurred. Then you'll have these great notes that you can reflect and review on so that you can learn from those failures and then carry all that knowledge over so that you won't have those specific failures anymore and you can continue to grow and be successful. And my final note after reading this is the greatest enemy to good is great. Cut the good stuff so you can become great. It is so easy to be satisfied with just being good. And I think ultimately the majority of people are satisfied with being good. However, once you do have a goal and you want to be successful, you have to start cutting out just the good stuff so that you can focus in and hone on being great, producing great content, learning better, being a great learner, having great outcomes, being great at your job. It really does take effort because I'm sure a ton of you out there are doing good stuff. But what I really want for all of you is to be great. What I want for myself is to be great. I want to create great videos on YouTube. And the best way to do that is take all of this knowledge that I talked about in this video from this book and start implementing it in your life. Because you're going to fail. I failed a ton. Take it from me. I'm pretty much a failure expert. But then you take those failures, treat them as learning experiences. Honestly, treat them as a college course. Take all that knowledge and then learn on how to be better and get from good to great. You have all of the tools that you need. You've had them before this video, but hopefully this video and this book helps you discern a little bit more and understand how you can use some of these skills and some of that information to implement and become better. I wish that for all of you. Dr. Kim, this was an awesome book. I really appreciate you writing it and sharing all of this awesome wisdom and nuggets. This kind of works, this book, Chase One Rabbit, almost as an encyclopedia because you can really just open up to any page and there'll just be a nugget of wisdom that you can start using in your life so that you can start learning from your failures and be better. And one last thing to share, Dr. Kim actually was a high school dropout. And he's now a doctor teaching in college. So you really can learn from all of the failures that you've had. And it doesn't matter where you are in your life. It's so easy to step back, learn from those failures, and to go make the life that you want to have. Take it from Dr. Kim. He's done it. If you're interested, this book, again, is Chase One Rabbit. It's got a lot of awesome wisdom in it. It is the 10 habits that move you from failure to success. And Dr. Philip Kim, he has a ton of awesome, great content out there. He's done a TED Talk. So if you do want to learn more from his wisdom, just search him online and you'll find all of his awesome stuff. Again, Dr. Kim, thanks for the great book. Hopefully I will see you soon. And for the rest of you out there, I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one. But don't forget, if you do have any good book recommendations, please drop them in the comments. I'm always looking for something good to read. I will see you in the next one. Peace.